Another example of keeping the Sabbath, the desire to keep it and dealing with your boss and telling them. My friend Kelly, who's in the ministry, his place of business, he was an important worker there, and his place of business, he told his place of business, I can't work on Saturday. And so like most businesses, they get behind and they're way behind. They said, look, you're going to have to come in on Saturday to work on the Sabbath. So he did. I think he might have did it once or twice, and it just ripped his conscience out of him. I mean, he couldn't deal with it. He just couldn't deal with it. You know, he knew he shouldn't be doing it. He knew it was wrong, and he got his resignation together, and he said, look, I can't do this anymore. I know we're behind. I know you're requiring me to work on Saturday, but I got to turn in my resignation because I can't do it anymore. And he said, hold on. He was an extremely valuable worker. They said, we don't want you to leave. We don't want you to resign. We will work it out, and from this point forward, you never, ever have to worry about working on the Sabbath again. Okay, beautiful example. Another example was an elderly man I knew named Bob. He was in the military, and he was getting close to retirement. And he held a hard line. You know, he came into a conviction about the Sabbath. He started keeping the Sabbath, and he lost his pension. He lost his retirement. He lost a lot because he was close to retirement in the military. And he became bitter toward God because of, he felt like, okay, since I'm doing this for God, God ought to come through for me in a better way than he did. Okay, maybe he didn't have enough faith, I don't know. But I did see him become bitter toward God because God didn't work it out the way he thought God should work it out. So you want to be aware of that. You know, if it's going to require, if you know, he became bitter toward God, you know, in his latter days. So this was not good. Another story is a person who was also close to about 2 years retirement, and he would get a great retirement. His job required him to work, and he continued to work. He continued to work until retirement. Now, I didn't say he was 20 years away from retirement. I said he was a couple years or less away from retirement. Okay. What did he do? Did he want to work? No. Did he hate to work? No. I mean, yes, he hated to work on the Sabbath. Was his conscience bothering him? Probably so, very much so. But he depended on God's grace to forgive him for those years. Now, you know, I know a lot of times, a lot of people would say, well, that's just not right. You're supposed to stick to your guns and do what's right. Okay, I hear you. I understand what you're saying. And to some degree, I agree with you. But I'm just saying, if your decision is going to cause you to be bitter toward God, where you don't like the way God works it out, you know, I don't know. You need to take that into consideration, that bitterness. The Sabbath breaking is not, sometimes we think it's the worst sin of all. I don't know why we think that. It's not the worst sin. It's just a sin, okay, for breaking the Sabbath. But, you know, sometimes we do have to depend on God's grace. And this is what this particular person did. But I'm giving you these examples. I've given you 4 or 5 examples of real life Sabbath keeping and the desire to obey God's Sabbath. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be easy, but you do have to stand up for your convictions.
Check us out on the web at isthatreallyinthebible.com.